The stars above the council chamber were always calm. Floating in the center of the Andari Nebula, the Galactic High Council station was one of the most beautiful and advanced in the galaxy. Here, the leaders of over 200 alien civilizations gathered to decide the future of the known universe. And today, they made a decision that would change everything. The council chamber was large and circular. Representatives from many species sat in their floating seats, speaking through translators, their eyes fixed on the tall platform at the center. On that platform stood the Grand Arbiter, a tall insectoid being named Vascal of the Zarnith Empire. His voice echoed through the hall. The matter of Earth has been discussed for months. Humanity's rapid growth, unpredictable actions, and dangerous technologies have caused concern. Though they helped us in the war against the Rylak, their methods were extreme. Some say too extreme. There were murmurs of agreement. A few tried to speak up in defense of humans, but they were quickly silenced. Vascal continued, "A final vote shall now be taken. All members, prepare to cast your decision. Should Earth be exiled from the Galactic Union?" A moment of silence passed. Lights flickered in the air as votes were recorded. Then the results appeared on the central holo display. Vote passed. Earth is to be exiled. Effective immediately. The chamber remained quiet. No celebration, no arguments. Just silence. On the far side of the hall, Earth's ambassador sat alone. Her name was Miriam Ray, a calm woman with short dark hair and tired eyes. She did not cry. She did not shout. She simply stood up, nodded once, and walked out without saying a word. No one stopped her. Hours later, a message was sent to Earth. It was short and cold. Humanity is no longer a recognized member of the Galactic Union. All human ships are to leave Union space within 30 days. All trade, communication, and travel are banned. Failure to comply will be treated as an act of war. Across the galaxy, reactions were mixed. Some cheered. For years, they had feared the rise of humanity. Earth had gone from a quiet, distant world to a superpower in just 2 centuries. Humans had mastered artificial gravity, created advanced AI, and fought fiercely during the Rylak War. Others were confused. Earth had given so much, shared medical advances, repaired old star routes, and saved entire colonies from destruction. How could they be cast out so easily? But what surprised everyone the most was humanity's reaction. They said nothing. No angry speeches, no desperate pleas, no threats, just silence. Within a week, all human embassies were closed. Human citizens living in alien cities were recalled home. Ships vanished from the skies. Earth withdrew completely, without explaining why. In the vast Andromedan Trade Station, a popular spaceport near the galactic core, the absence was clearly felt. The docks were quieter without the loud, joking human crews. Cafes lost business without human travelers. Shops closed down without Earth's tech trade. A famous alien engineer named Turok, who once worked closely with human scientists, stood in his empty workshop and muttered, "It's like they were never here." Some believed humanity was ashamed. Others thought they were planning revenge. But no one truly knew. On the outer edge of the galaxy, a small team of Andari researchers observed the Sol system. They saw strange activity. Hundreds of satellites, drones, and ships circled Earth and its nearby planets. There were signals and energy patterns they could not understand. One of the researchers, a young female named Lessa, looked at the data and whispered, "They're building something. But what? And why?" The Council had no answers. When they tried to send probes near Earth's system, the machines were either blocked or disabled by unknown forces. No damage, no threats, just silence. Earth had placed itself behind a digital curtain, a quiet wall. No one could see in, no one could reach them. And still, no words came from Earth. A month passed. Then 2. The council moved on with other matters, but something had changed. Space didn't feel the same. Piracy increased on outer routes. Human patrol fleets that once protected trade lines were gone. AI systems built with human code began to break or behave strangely without support. The galaxy had relied on humanity more than it realized. Now, it had to manage without them. In quiet corners of the galaxy, whispers began. Maybe exiling Earth was a mistake. They were dangerous, yes, but also useful. They never even defended themselves. In a distant mining colony, on the moon of Garu 5, a group of aliens found an old human tool left behind. It still worked perfectly, years after being abandoned. One of the workers stared at it and said, "They built things to last, even when they knew we would betray them." Back in the council station, Grand Arbiter Vascal stood alone, reading through reports. His assistant, a thin, blue-skinned alien named Jesh, approached him nervously. "Sir, we've had no contact from Earth. Nothing at all. But sensors near Sol show massive energy readings, large construction projects, possibly fleet-sized." Vascal narrowed his eyes. "Are they preparing for war?" Jesh shook his head. "We don't know, but they're doing something big, quietly, and fast." The Arbiter said nothing for a moment. Then, in a rare whisper, he replied, "We voted for their exile. They accepted it. But I fear we've made a mistake. We feared what they could become, and now they're becoming it without us." Outside the window, stars twinkled, peaceful, silent. But in the darkness between those stars, something was moving. And Earth had gone quiet, too quiet. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, yet not a single word came from Earth, not even a whisper. For a civilization known for speaking loudly, making deals, sending explorers, and always being involved, this complete silence was strange. It made the other species uncomfortable. On the planet Jurella 7, a famous alien news host, Krent Var, opened his daily show with a question that many were asking. Where is humanity? And what are they planning? No one had the answer. In the diplomatic halls of Vathros Prime, a tall, bird-like ambassador paced nervously. Her name was Leora, and she had once worked closely with human diplomats. She missed their ideas, their humor, their energy. They were different, she whispered to her aide. Yes, fast and unpredictable, but they also cared. They built things, helped others. They didn't just take. Why would they go so quiet? Her aide only shrugged. Maybe they are building weapons, Leora frowned. Or maybe they're building something else. Meanwhile, strange things were happening across the galaxy. Stations built with human software began acting oddly. Their systems slowed. Their connections dropped. Some even shut down completely. Technicians from other species couldn't fix them. They didn't understand how the human code worked. The Council received complaints from over 50 star systems, power grids failing, transport networks collapsing, ship engines not responding, all because Earth was no longer sending updates or support. A quiet dependency was now exposed. Many civilizations had relied on humans more than they admitted, and now they were on their own. In a small starport near the edge of Union space, a young alien named Keshta Navel sat in a dark hangar, staring at a map of the Sol system. Keshta was a journalist from the Terralin species. She had always been curious about humans. She had even lived on Earth for 3 years as part of a cultural exchange. Now she wanted to know the truth. They didn't protest, she said aloud to herself. They didn't fight back. They just left. Why? She made a decision. I'm going to Earth. Keshta's ship, the Observer, was an old but fast vessel, small enough to avoid detection. She loaded it with supplies, locked in coordinates, and began her journey towards Sol. The trip would take 8 days through deep space routes, but she didn't care. She needed answers. Back on Vathros Prime, the Council tried to appear calm. But tension was growing. Trade routes had become unsafe. Human patrol ships, which once responded to distress signals within hours, were gone. Pirates and raiders had returned to old hiding spots. Several minor races requested the Council to invite Earth back, but the Council refused. Pride stood in the way. "We made our choice," said Vaskal, the Grand Arbiter. "We cannot appear weak." But even he could feel the galaxy changing, and not in a good way. Keshta's journey brought her near the Sol system after 8 long days. As she approached the border, her ship's sensors picked up strange signals, powerful, layered, encrypted. "They've built something," she whispered. She activated stealth mode and moved closer. What she saw left her breathless. Earth was surrounded by enormous structures. Space elevators connected the surface to giant rings in orbit. Mars had glowing cities under glass domes. Venus showed signs of cooling and terraforming. The moons of Jupiter were alive with activity, and surrounding all of it was a fleet. Thousands of ships, huge, silent, perfectly aligned. Each one was at least 10 times bigger than a normal battle cruiser, but there were no weapons visible, no signals, no messages. They just floated, like they were waiting. Keshta's ship was almost caught by a patrol drone, but she managed to hide behind the shadow of a moon. Her hands shook as she recorded everything. "This is impossible," she whispered. "They've done all this in just months?" Suddenly, a small human ship appeared behind her. She gasped. She hadn't seen it on any sensor. The human ship didn't fire. It just sent a message. "Keshtanavel, you are safe. Follow us." She followed. The human ship guided her gently out of the Sol system. No weapons, no threats, just silence as she reached safe space. The human ship transmitted a small object toward her vessel, a data crystal. Then the human ship disappeared, heading back into the darkness near Earth. When Keshta opened the crystal, it contained a message. Short, calm, direct. "We heard your vote. We respected it. Now we choose our own path." No anger, no warnings, just a clear message. Humanity had accepted their exile. But they were not broken. They were moving forward. Quietly. Keshta returned to Council space immediately. She sent her report to her news agency and uploaded the message to the Council. The galaxy was shocked. The message spread fast. Millions of beings watched Keshta's footage. The giant ships, the new cities, the silence. "They're not hiding," said one alien elder. "They're preparing." "But for what?" others asked. In private rooms, council leaders held emergency meetings. Grand Arbiter Vaskal sat at the head of the table holding the data crystal in his hands. "They are calm, but that calm is not peace," he said softly. "They are doing something, and we don't know what." His second-in-command, Jesh, asked carefully, "Should we send another message? Maybe ask to talk?" Vaskal shook his head. "They won't respond. They've already said everything with their silence." Across the stars, civilizations began to whisper. "Earth is building something. They're not coming back. They're going somewhere else." Some began to panic. Others began to prepare. A few simply hoped that humanity would still remember their old friends. But one thing was now clear to all. Humanity had left the galaxy. Without a fight, without a word, but not without a plan. The humans had vanished behind their invisible wall. There were no ships, no messages, no explanations. Only silence. But now, thanks to the report from Keshtanavel, the galaxy had seen what Earth was truly doing, preparing something massive. Still, no one understood why. Inside the Grand Hall of the Galactic Union, arguments erupted almost every day. Council leaders demanded more surveillance. Some wanted to send a fleet to Earth. Others warned against it. "They're not attacking anyone," said Ambassador Leora. "They're just leaving us." "But why build ships that size?" asked a worried voice. "And why now?" No one could answer. The mystery grew. Far from the loud meetings, on a peaceful farming world named Zalith, two alien farmers talked while repairing an old plow. One of them, Tarn, remembered the humans well. Years ago, a human engineer had helped his village rebuild after a landslide. "They helped us," Tarn said softly. "They didn't ask for payment, just helped and left." His friend nodded. "They did that for many. Now the galaxy turns its back and they walk away." Tarn looked up at the stars. "Maybe they are better than us." Back in council space, Grand Arbiter, Vascal watched Keshta's footage over and over. The giant ships, the planetary rings, the quiet motion of drones building megastructures in orbit. He stared at one frame, a ship so large it blocked out a moon. No weapons were visible. Just design, precision, power. "They are not preparing for war," he said aloud. His aide, Jesh, blinked. "Then what are they preparing for?" Vascal leaned back, deep in thought. "To leave us behind." On the third moon of Iran, a team of independent scientists worked secretly. They had gathered leaked data from Keshta's transmission and were trying to decode human energy patterns. Dr. Polran, a four-armed alien with thick glasses, shouted, "It's not just shipbuilding, they're creating energy fields strong enough to bend space." His assistant gasped. "You mean like wormholes?" Polran nodded. "But not temporary ones, permanent, stable." "Where would they go?" Polran shrugged. "Anywhere. Maybe outside this galaxy." The room went silent. Outside the lab window, the stars sparkled. Endless. Waiting. In a forgotten corner of council records, a junior archivist named Elvin stumbled upon an old message. It was from a human diplomat, sent 15 years before the exile vote. He read the message again and again. "Humanity will never force itself where it is unwanted. But if the galaxy turns its back on us, we will not beg. We will not fight. We will simply leave. And in doing so, we will show you what you gave up." Elvin took the message straight to his superior. By morning, the entire council had read it. A new feeling spread across the galaxy. Not fear, not anger. Regret. In a quiet office, Ambassador Leora read the message with tears in her eyes. She had once called Earth her second home. She had friends there. She had shared meals, laughter, and long walks through human forests. "They warned us," she whispered. "We just didn't listen." She opened her private console and sent a simple message. "Earth, if you ever read this, I'm sorry. I remember, and I thank you." She didn't expect a reply. Keshta Vel, now famous across hundreds of systems, stayed silent after her return. She refused to appear on talk shows. She gave no more interviews. Instead, she studied. She watched. The footage of Earth again and again. The ships, the cities, the strange towers on Saturn's moons. She marked something that most others had missed. "They're not just building," she said to herself. "They're organizing." Each movement had a pattern. Each ship had a role. Cargo, farming, medicine, exploration. This wasn't a war fleet. It was a civilization on the move. She checked records from old human myths and stories. Earth's earliest tales spoke of ships leaving home, crossing unknown seas, building new worlds. It wasn't in their nature to conquer. It was in their nature to explore. On the 200th day after Earth's exile, something new happened. A beacon appeared at the edge of Union space, a single human-made device, no weapons, no tricks. Just a small satellite floating quietly. The council sent a probe to examine it. Inside was a single crystal like the one given to Keshta. The message was short. "We are leaving, not in anger, but in purpose. We seek what lies beyond. You chose fear. We chose silence. But now, we choose the stars. The coordinates of the device showed its path. It pointed outside the galaxy. Panic swept through the council. Are they abandoning everything? Where are they going? Can we stop them? But no one could stop them. Earth had built its own path, quietly, powerfully, and with complete control. And they weren't asking for permission. In the skies above Earth, a final formation began. Thousands of ships of every size gathered in perfect order. Not just warships, but farms, schools, medical bays, energy stations, AI cores. This was not just a fleet, it was a new beginning. Earth itself glowed blue and green, peaceful and silent. Above it, massive gates powered up, rifts in space, shimmering like mirrors, ready to open paths beyond known space. The first ships moved forward slowly, no words, no sounds, just purpose. And across the galaxy, a new thought spread. Humanity was not hiding. Humanity was not afraid. Humanity was evolving, and they were doing it alone. The galaxy was in shock. Earth's message was clear. They were leaving. No threats, no wars, no cries for justice, just departure. For many, this was hard to accept. Trade routes once maintained by human technology began to falter. Ships that relied on human-built navigation AI suddenly malfunctioned. Mining colonies reported power failures. Farming stations struggled to grow food without Earth's advanced seeds. The technology that humans had shared had become deeply woven into many worlds. And now, without Earth's support, it began to fail. On the icy planet of Qatari Prime, a small colony was plunged into darkness. The power grid collapsed. Emergency systems failed. The colonists looked up at the black sky, realizing their safety had been linked to Earth more than they ever imagined. Without warning, the colony was isolated. No help would come. Meanwhile, on the council station, alarm. Bells rang continuously. Jesh hurried to Grand Arbiter Vaskel's chamber. Sir, we have reports from 50 systems. Human-built fleets are going offline. AI core failures are spreading. The galaxy's infrastructure is collapsing. Vaskel sighed heavily. We thought exiling Earth would weaken them. Instead, it weakens us. In the chaos, some species blamed the Council. How could you cast out a race that held the galaxy together? Others feared what would come next. If humanity returns, it will not be with kindness. But there was no sign of humanity returning. Instead, strange things began to happen. Near old human colonies, mysterious rifts appeared in space. These were not natural phenomena. They were portals, glowing faintly, opening to unknown places. Ships that tried to enter were either lost or returned with strange tales. One crew reported seeing stars that burned blue and green, unlike any in known space. Scientists and scholars were puzzled. Had Earth unlocked a new kind of travel? Had they found a way to step beyond the galaxy? Back on Earth, the Great Fleet prepared to leave. Arc ships, massive vessels built to carry entire communities, were ready. Inside, families packed their belongings. Children played in corridors designed like forests. Doctors prepared medical centers. Every ship was alive with hope, not for war, but for a new home. The Council tried one last time to send a message. Humans, the Grand Arbiter spoke, we ask you to reconsider. Join us again. The galaxy is your home. But the message was ignored. Earth's silence was final. On the day the fleet departed, the skies above Earth were filled with light. Ships of every size lifted off, moving in perfect harmony. They passed through the shimmering rifts one by one, and then Earth was quiet. Across the galaxy, systems tried to recover, but the loss was deep. Some species rebuilt their own fleets. Others began to share technology once held by humans, yet the memory of humanity's silence remained. In the Council archives, an old message was found. It was from a human diplomat, sent years before exile. If the galaxy chooses fear over friendship, we will leave without a word, and when we do, you will understand what you lost. The Council read it again. They had chosen fear, and humanity had chosen departure. Far beyond the stars, the fleet sailed toward unknown worlds. They did not look back. They did not speak of revenge. They only looked forward to new beginnings, new friends, and new stars. Thousands of ships, built for every purpose, stretched across Earth's orbit like a shining city in space. This was not a military fleet, but a migration. Families packed into the enormous Orc ships. Scientists, artists, engineers, and children filled the decks. Everything that made Earth home was carefully stored. No one knew how far they would travel. Some hoped to find a new galaxy. Others dreamed of worlds yet unseen. The departure was silent, but powerful, as the first ships slowly rose. A soft light bathed Earth's surface. Cities held their breath, watching the sky. Humanity had never been loud in farewell. They did not shout or cry. They simply left. Among the ships was the Pioneer, a vessel carrying many scientists and diplomats. Its captain, Commander Jana Reese, stood on the bridge, watching the stars. "This is a new beginning," she said softly. Her second-in-command smiled. "For humanity, and maybe others who follow." Far away in the council chambers, debates raged. Should we try to stop them? Should we offer help? But no decision was made. The council was powerless to stop the human fleet. Their technology was too advanced. Their will, unbreakable. As the fleet passed through the shimmering rifts, the stars beyond looked different, brighter, new, unknown. Humanity was leaving the galaxy, but they did not abandon all they loved. Some species had asked for permission to join the fleet. The humans accepted a few close allies, those who had stood by them in difficult times. Among them were the Jaren engineers, the Andari medics, and the Luthari scholars. Together, they formed a new community, one built on trust, respect, and hope. On board the Pioneer, Commander Reese spoke to the crew. "We travel not to escape, but to explore, not to conquer, but to learn. We carry the best of Earth with us." Her voice was steady. The crew listened. They knew the journey would be long and hard. But it was their choice. Back in the galaxy they left behind, life continued. Without human guidance, old rivalries began to flare. New powers rose. The galaxy was quieter, less certain. But in the hearts of many, a question remained. What will become of Earth? In a small observatory near the galaxy's edge, a lone scientist scanned the skies. His name was Elvin, the archivist who had discovered the old human. Message. He watched for any sign of the human fleet. Months passed, and then a faint signal appeared. It was weak, but unmistakably human. A single message repeated again and again. "We found others." The scientist smiled. Humanity had not disappeared. They had only begun. The galaxy felt emptier without humanity's presence. Old alliances weakened. Some systems struggled to rebuild the networks that once connected them all. But stories about Earth did not fade. They grew. In the council archives, Elvin carefully studied the last messages from Earth. He read the words again and again. "If you choose fear over friendship, we will leave. If you turn away from us, we will go quietly. But know this, we carry the strength of many worlds, and one day, you will see what you lost." These words weighed heavy on the Council's heart. On the edge of known space, far beyond the galaxy's bright core, a new signal appeared. It was human. Slow and steady, it pulsed through the dark. Scientists from many species gathered to listen. The signal was simple, a greeting. We found others. No one knew who these others were. But hope returned. Far away, the human fleet sailed through strange new stars. The ships carried the best of Earth, their culture, knowledge, and spirit. They moved forward toward a future unknown. Commander Jana Reese stood on the Pioneer's bridge, watching unfamiliar constellations. "We left because we had to," she told her crew. "But we travel because we believe. Because humanity always seeks to grow, to learn, to understand." Her eyes shone. The galaxy rejected us. But the universe is larger. We are not alone. Among the fleet, children played under artificial suns, learning stories from Earth and from their new friends. Scientists worked together to unlock secrets of the new worlds. Artists painted the stars. Back in the old galaxy, some wondered if humanity would ever return. Others knew the truth. Earth was not lost. Earth had simply chosen a different path. In quiet moments, ambassadors like Leora sent messages of hope and apology. They wished to rebuild bridges, to learn from mistakes. And somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, the human signal continued. A message of peace, a message of unity, a promise. The Council's Grand Arbiter spoke once more. Humanity showed us what we feared and what we needed. They chose silence over conflict. They chose departure over destruction. And in doing so, they taught us a lesson we will never forget. The story of Earth was no longer one of exile. It was a story of strength, of resilience, and of hope. And the stars waited for the day humanity would return.